What's going on? You guys having a good summer? Yeah, what's going on? Christine says I'm busy rehabbing. There's no time for wakeboarding. I'm rehabbing, Christine says. I love it. Loving the warmer weather. It is so hot out right now. So hot here in Colombia. I've been at the lake all week, enjoying some time with the family and just enjoying the holiday, last weekend and carrying over this week, which is it's cool to talk about here, guys, because is there anyone on the webinar right now who had some great conversations over Memorial Weekend or over summertime, and you found some great private money lenders, or maybe you found some great borrowers? If any of you, did any of you have any great conversations about putting your money to work? Has that happened at all? All right, I saw one hand raised. I love it. Right? Has that happened at all? All right, good, good. Right on, Morgan. Great job. Started some great relationships. That's what it's all about. Like, this is a relationship based. This is relationship driven, right? So I have some family in town. They're coming up, looking at real estate, talking, enjoying everything that we have to offer, out hanging out in the lake house and doing some jet skiing and stuff. But my uncle George, some of you may have met him if you've ever been to one of our events. My uncle, my aunt married this great guy. We love him. His name's George, and construction guy, busy, 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 makes tons of money, wants to put that money to work, got money in the bank, money in the safe, too much cash, right? More money, more problems. And we've talked about this private money lending thing. And remember, anytime you've seen me teach or hop on these webinars, when we're practicing our elevator pitches and we're getting people excited to potentially be our lenders, we're not the ones pushing the buttons. We're not the ones, we're not being pushy, literally, right? We're creating intrigue. We're teaching about our business model, how we keep people's money secured, things like this. We're educating, right? And so when people are ready to have the relationship, like, what, I think I want to give that a shot. I would love to make double-digit rate of return secured by real estate. They're going to come to you, right? And so it's cool to have these conversations with the people in our sphere of influence. And hey, in the chat box, if you got any questions, you got any deals, you want to network in the chat, go ahead. Right? This is what this webinar is all about. One of the many things this webinar is all about. All right, cool. So here we go. Let's see. Anytime I teach a webinar or class or training session, you guys know this. Private money lending can absolutely be risky. Please don't lend money you're not willing to lose. I started teaching private money lending because I'm a big believer in it. I would not be where I am today without my private money lenders, without the relationships that I've built, without the skill sets that I have that I'm teaching you throughout the course of these webinars. I'm extremely grateful, and I truly believe that a lot of my private money lenders are also grateful for the relationship that they have with my wife and I. And our investments, I don't know anywhere else where someone can put money to work, have it secured by real estate, make a great rate of return, and have collateral with their loan. Like this, it's win-win. At the same time, I also don't know where a real estate investor can go and get all the funds that they need. In some cases, not have to come out of pocket to fund real estate deals, right? And so it's this win-win scenario that we're talking about here. But you know what? If a person doesn't know the documents that they need, if a person doesn't know the questions to ask, how to underwrite a deal, how to underwrite a person, right? They can lose. Right. And a big part of why I started teaching for the Private Money Club is I had friends come to me and they said, "No, I lent money. This is a while ago, and it's been overdue. It's past due. I haven't gotten it back." And I said, "Hey, did you do this, this, this?" And they said, "No." I said, "Yes, this, and these questions." They said, "No." I'm like, what happened? Right. And so make sure that we're educating ourselves. And so every single Thursday, that's what we do. We just iron sharpens iron. We get on these calls. 1 o'clock, we go for an hour and we talk private money lending, right? And we stay sharp, which is awesome. So this is the 18th time that we've done this. You guys know this by now if you've been on before, but if you're brand new, I'm teaching from a real estate investor's perspective. So I'm teaching you what I do every single day in my wife and I's real estate investing business, which is handle the money side, right? Which is figuring out how are we going to fund our fix and flips, figuring out how are we going to fund our rental properties, our wholesale deals, things like this, right? And we use private money. So I'm out there building these relationships, and I love hosting this opportunity in this show here. So a few things. All right, yeah, Chris got the right idea. Boom, let's go, right? PMC Quickstart webinar. If you're just logging in for the first time, let me know in the chat box. I try to make this webinar as interactive as possible. Get your fingers up and running, right? Get the links going on your phone. If you're new to this webinar, say, hey, first time, brand new. Type it in the chat. Everybody will say, hey, welcome, welcome. Right? Cool. Welcome, Jennifer. Welcome to the party. I love it. Right? So if you're on here for the first time, my name is Noah Harris. I'm a real estate investor. I share a lot of case studies. If I talk about one of my companies, most likely it's going to be Revive Homes LLC, which was established a little over 10 years ago here in Columbia, South Carolina, is where we invest. What's up, Blake? Welcome. Hey, Caleb. Welcome. I'm a big believer in investing where we live. And my goal for every single one of you that come in contact with me, or maybe you take one of my accelerator classes or tune into this webinar every single week, is a 100% track record. That's what we're working for towards here, right? 100% track record. And if we can do that, man, how awesome would that be, right? Because look, when it comes to borrowing money, you want to get great at borrowing money, put your lenders on a pedestal. Put them first. Lending funds, understand what it means to be a great lender and create that good relationship with one another, right? So 100% track record. We do what we say we're going to do. That's what it's all about. So, all right, cool. Thanks, Eamon. Appreciate it, my man. I do teach for Private Money Club. I teach a course called the Accelerator Course. This is an intensive 4 weeks of twice a week, 90 minutes to 2 hour webinar series where I just get everyone in that class up and running, accelerate their learning, accelerate their relationships. And it's through Private Money Club. If you're interested in something like that, I can put a link in the chat box if you want to learn more about that. I have my friend Jose Hakeem in here. Jose, say hi to the class. Jose is in the chat box here. He's a Private Money Club team member. So anytime that I say, hey, you should look into this, here's a good resource for you guys, Jose will put the link in the chat box. So he's kind of like my co-pilot here. So, I'm going to get talking. If someone asks a question, Jose's going to be there for you guys. He's an awesome guy, and so if you have any questions at all, just post it in the chat box there or in the Q&A section. This is relationship based, right? This is relationship based. All right, real quick, let's take a poll. Let's do a survey, right? Let's figure this out. A couple questions here. This is really fun. I love doing, probably my favorite part of the show. How many of you in this webinar right now? There's 73 people watching and tuning in right now and climbing. 73 people. How many of you are currently lenders? How many of you are actively looking for a place to put money, have it secured by real estate, and you love to make a nice rate of return? If you're a lender, type lender in the chat box. Let's see what we got here. Lender, 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 lender. All right, cool. All right, William's ahead of the curve here. All right, what's up, Angie? Good to see you in here. All right, if you're a borrower and you love the idea of going to a person instead of an institution, type borrower in the chat box, right? Are you a real estate investor and you're looking for funding, right? I love it. 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 Reach out through PMC. I love it. I love it. And you guys, I see a lot of you are texting. Make sure your blue box says everyone, if you want everyone to see, because you can network on here, right? So I see people sending me direct messages, but all right, cool. I love it. Now, this is really fun too. So I like to see, okay, who in here is a Private Money Club member? So if you are a Private Money Club member, type me in the chat box. Let me see who we got working with here, right? See what we're working with here. All right, cool. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Hey, Kevin, what's up, man? And I see some people said both, right? I'm a borrower and a lender. What's real common from my experiences is if you're a real estate investor and you're investing or properties, you may use private money for your own deals, which is super cool. But then on the flip side of that, maybe you weren't a real estate investor before you did real estate. Maybe you had a job and you had an old 401k or something, and you rolled that over into a self-directed retirement account, and now you're lending from your self-directed retirement account. So lots of times if someone says both, that's usually what's going on. So that's awesome to see that, right? This is all relationship based. And so for those of you who are brand new to Private Money Club, Private Money Club, just so you're clear, we're clear. Yes, it's a community, but it's more so a platform, right? It's a platform where borrowers and lenders can meet, post deals, share opportunities, and it's a beautiful thing. So just to give you some insight, because we're going to get into this today, at the end, second half of this webinar, I'm going to share with you some real for having conversations and asking to borrow money, and for lenders what to look for. So stay with me here. But for a long time, I've been using private money probably since 2013 or before. So a little over 10 years. When I first got started trying to build relationships with private money lenders, lots of times the people didn't know what private money lending was. And that's still the case, right? They know what it is, but it's a little cloudy around how it all works. So when the lenders that I started forming relationships with, I had to do elevator pitches. I had to tell them, hey, look, did you know you can make a double-digit rate of return secured by real estate? Da, 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 da. I had to have that stuff ironed out. And I would go to real estate investor club meetings. I'd talk to everyone in my family, my friends, right? And sometimes people thought I was crazy because they didn't know what private money lending was. With Private Money Club, it's like one big fishing pond where everyone that's in the pond fish are, right? If you're a borrower, you throw in the line, you catch a lender. If you're a lender, you throw in your line, you catch a borrower. There's no elevator pitches. There's no elevator. There's no explaining this stuff because everyone in the club understands what it is, which is awesome, right? So this is relationship based. You're in the right place. So welcome to the party. So every Thursday we do this webinar at 1 o'clock. We start right at 1. We keep it real estate. So I keep it real estate, and I keep it simple, right? So if you're here to learn how to fix and flip a house and using private funds to do that, you're in the right place. If you're here to use how to use private money to buy a rental property, you're in the right spot. Airbnb, you're in the right place. Small multifamily, right? Have it secured, have a note, a mortgage, things like that, you're in the right place, right? If you're here and you're a lender and you're like, hey, I want to learn how to put my money to work, but I don't just want to like willy-nilly lend it out to somebody. I want to have a better idea of what to do. You're in the right place as well, right? That's why people. If you have any questions, type them in the Q&A box, okay? If you want to network or just participate in the chat, I love that. But if you ask a question in the chat, I may not see it because lots of times the chat's just going too fast and too furious for me, right? I do have Jose Hakeem in the chat as well, and I do have some questions in here asking about the accelerator class. How much does the accelerator class cost? I think that a lot of that has to do with if you are a premier member, there's some discounts and things like that. Robert, so you just see Jose right there. The best thing to do to find out about enrolling in courses and things that Private Money Club has to offer, Robert, is to click the link that Jose just posted and schedule a time to talk with the team. Okay. All right, cool. Here's what we work on every single week. Here's what we work on. We work on building our credibility as borrowers and lenders. We work on our clarity of understanding how a lot of these things work and what to look for. And I think if we have the cred and the clarity, then the confidence starts to come, right? The confidence starts to come. And when you're in a community like this, where there's people actively looking to borrow and actively looking to lend, and there's not as much of having to explain, everyone has like the same mentality and goals of winning together. It's a beautiful thing, right? So this is what we work on every single week on the Quickstart webinar. Here's what we're going to do. So I like to look at this as like practice. So if you're just tuning in for the first time, like Holly is, this is like practice. So I'm going to go through some fundamentals. I'm going to go through some best practices, things like this, and we're going to get really good at those things, right? Every week that we the NBA finals are going to be coming on this weekend. The hockey playoffs are this weekend, right? So I bet you those teams, those high-level professionals, are working on fundamentals, right? Every single practice, they're working on their fundamentals, right? They're practicing their threes. They're practicing, shooting free throws, right? So we're going to do the same thing here. This is going to be a good time. And then I also encourage you to make a move, right? This is not a webinar where it's fun to listen to while you eat your lunch or whatever. Like, no, the idea here is that every single week you take something that we're teaching and you go out and implement it, right? So I like to give you some ideas and things that you can work on to go and implement and so that you can build momentum, right? This is the 18th time that we've done this webinar, 18th time in a row. Steven asked me, hey, no, it's summer. You want to take a week off? No way. No way. Fun. Like, let's practice. This is my playground, right? So I'm curious, how many of you have been on more than one Accelerator Quickstart webinar? Type it in the chat how many you think you might have been on. We've done 18. How many of you been on? Right? Type it in the chat. I'd love to see a bunch of hands raised. I love it. 18, Patrick says. Love it, my man. Love it. 6-ish. Love it. I think Chris's number is a little higher. She's always on here, right? I think she's just trying to play cool. All right, cool. 2 or 3. I love it. Okay, cool. So here's some things that you can take, right? Practice the fundamentals. So today, the second half of this call, I'm actually going to give you some things that I really hope everyone that's serious about this works on. So stay tuned with me, okay? I'm also going to encourage you to take control of your money. Like if you're logging on for the first time and you're like, hey, I got to figure out how to leverage Private Money Club the best, don't wait till next Thursday to figure that out. Schedule some time with Jose and the team to help put together a blueprint for you, help for you, right? The bare minimum, here's what I'd like you to do is just schedule on your calendar to hop back on next Thursday. All you got to do is go say, hey, Siri, can you schedule me for next Thursday, 1 o'clock, Quick Start webinar? Quick Start webinar is scheduled. Quick Start webinar scheduled. See, it's that easy, guys. It's that easy. And then create your Private Money Club profile. So here's what's cool. If you are a Private Money Club member, there's 2 different ways that you can participate, right? Private Money Club, you can go create a profile for free. You can, right? Now you're limited on some of the messaging, but you can get in there and poke around a little bit, right? So everyone on this webinar, all 77 of you, all 77 of us should have a Private Money Club profile, right? Maybe you go find Noah Harris and go friend request me. Maybe that's a good assignment, right? But create a profile. It's free. Get your picture up there, fill that out, right? If you're serious about borrowing and lending and building meaningful relationships, there's also a premium plan. It's a couple $1,000, no big deal. If you're serious about this, the way that I look at Private Money Club and the membership and things like that, the relationships that I've made have far outweighed any type of investment to be in the club. And I'm just telling it how it is. Like Chris doesn't even ask me to talk about this stuff, but if I were to use a hard money lender and the hard money lending company wanted 13% and they want 3% upfront in like origination fees, I mean, I'm planning on doing 10 to 15 deals this year. That's $40,000 in just origination fees that I would be paying to a hard money lending company based on the types of deals that I do. So to invest a few $1,000 to be around a community where it really makes sense and I can find good private money lenders to fund my deals, done, right? Because right now I pay 10% for my deals, right? 10% in my deals. Hey, congratulations, PM deal in the works. 2 claps. Great job, my man. Accelerator student right there, getting out there and crushing it. We have another class coming up too. So if you're, I keep talking about this accelerator course. Next class starts August 12th. If you're like, oh my gosh, what is that? Click on the link, schedule a time to talk with Jose, and he can get you all set up with that, right? So here's what we do. Every single Thursday, we practice some fundamentals. So why do we practice this? What's the goal with this, Noah? The goal here is to be able to have conversations with folks and not have to think about the next 4 slides, right? What's on the next 4 slides. So if I'm talking to someone, I'm going to stick with the summertime theme, right? Last weekend, it's Memorial Weekend. We're at the grill cooking hamburgers and hot dogs, right? Today, I'm taking it to the boat. I'm taking it to the beach. I'm taking it to the sailing club, right? My 9-year-old son, we're not sailors. We're tuned jets today, but we're signing my son up for sailing class. And he's going to learn how to do that. My goal is for him to learn so I don't have to learn. Well, when you're at the sailing club, you get to hang out at the clubhouse while the kids are going around on the boats. So in my mind, I'm thinking, all right, cool. This is great. I want to meet someone here. And my personal challenge to myself is I'm going to meet someone that's going to be one of my private money lenders, right? So the idea here is wherever you see yourself this summer hanging out, and if someone asks you about your real estate investing business and you think that they could be a great private money lender, do you know what to say? Do you feel confident in the conversation that you're going to have, that they're going to be excited or want to learn more, right? How many of you right now know someone that would make a great private money lender, but they don't know it yet? Like there's someone in your mind and you're like, this person would be fantastic, but that person know in that box there. Okay, so I've asked this question probably for the last 5 or 6 weeks of doing the Quick Start webinar. So one of my assignments to you guys is to start having these conversations. Has anyone started to have these conversations that has said yes in the past few weeks? Have you been practicing these things with folks, right? So what is a private money loan? So it's simply a loan secured by real estate. That's what I call it. Okay, so when I say private money loan, that's what I'm referring to in the context of this class. If you Google private money loan, chances are that you're going to get a ton. Like I was talking to a bank a fund that I use. It's called Visio Lending, and I use them a lot for my rental properties. And I was on the phone about to refinance one of my rental properties, and I was talking to the representative from this great company called Visio, and they're like, "Well, we're private lenders," and I'm like, "No, you're not." And not I think I think of a person, not necessarily like a fund or a company that makes its own decisions. Does that make sense? It's a little different, right? A little different. So I'm talking about a person, right? So with what is a private money loan? It's a loan secured by real estate. So if I'm talking to a family member or a friend or one of my kids' fellow campers' parents, right? When we go to pick them up from vacation Bible school or the sail club or hockey camp or whatever we're trying to do this weekend to keep our kids off our backs, or this summer to keep our kids busy. When I'm talking to those parents, they're going to ask me, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" Right? I'm a real estate investor. You ever seen the TV shows where they flip houses? Oh my gosh, I've always wanted to do that. Really? Tell me more about that. Well, I've always wanted to do it. Lots of times it comes down to the money, right? So one of the things I like to introduce to people is say, "Hey, look, well, instead of me going out to a bank or using my own cash to fund our real estate deals, we use what's called a private money lender. It's a person, just like you and every person." They kind of see the head turn like, "What do you mean?" Well, people, instead of investing in the stock market, they do a private money loan. I pay them a great double-digit annualized rate of return on their money, and their loan is secured by real estate, just like a bank, right? Just like a bank. And to help people, and you guys have heard me say this a million times, but we're practicing the fundamentals here. And I'm curious, has anyone explained private money lending to someone? How I'm doing an example right now. Have you guys been implementing this at all? I'm curious to see if anyone has. So I would say to them, "Hey, do you own your own house?" They're going to say yes, right? Probably yes. Or bought a house before? Yes. All right. When you went and closed on your house and you bought your house, did you go and get a mortgage? And they're going to say yes. Most likely yes. Right? Christine says as much as possible. Crush. And I'm gonna say, "Okay, great. When you went to closing, you got a mortgage, you signed a stack of papers that were like this thick, right?" And they're gonna say, "Yep, I did." Okay, cool. So in there was probably you promised to pay, right? You promised to pay. You signed something acknowledging that you're gonna pay back the money, and it outlined the interest payments and the things like. They're gonna say, "Yeah, absolutely." Okay, cool. And then and and you're personally responsible for that loan. Yep, I am. I am. Okay, great. And before you bought the house that you live in, did you have to call your insurance agent and list the bank on there as the mortgagee? Did you do all of these things? And they're like, "Yeah, we did all of those things." So the same exact thing that you did, that millions of people do all the time when they go to buy a house, that's exactly what we provide as real estate investors to our lenders. So as an example, if you were my lender, I would provide you with a mortgage, a promissory note, give you a personal guarantee on the loan, and make sure you live insurance, just like a bank. And when you start explaining it, guys, and when you really get great at this, you can start to see the light bulbs go off. You can start to see their eyes get big. It's clicking, right? And now they're gonna be like, "Wow, well, tell me about that interest rate, right? How much do you pay, right?" So, and then on the flip side of this, I'm not just speaking to my borrowers, but I'm also speaking to my lenders. If you're a lender, who's your ideal candidate? If you're a lender and you or want to be a lender, who is your ideal candidate to reach out to do business with? Who's your ideal candidate? My guess would be that your ideal candidate is someone who's already doing real estate, right? So if I was a lender, I'd be wanting to find people who are active in real estate. Maybe they were using private money now, but maybe they're probably using hard loans or their own cash to fund their deals. And if I can find someone that's, here's a great assignment. I would go to like my local real estate investors club, or maybe even post in Private Money Club. Hey, I'm looking for someone that's experienced, has a good track record. I'd love to have a conversation with you, right? And I'd figure out how they're funding their deals now, and then introduce yourself to them to become their lender. So if I went to my local real estate investing club here in Columbia, South Carolina, and I asked the person running the club, hey, who does a lot of deals here? Who's got a good reputation, right? And two or three people, you could point me in the right direction, I'd appreciate it. And then I'd find those people and I'd ask them, hey, how are you funding your deals right now? And if it's hard money or their own cash, I'd say, well, what are you paying for your hard money? "Oh, I'm paying 13% and 3 points. Wow. How about no points and 13%? Would that be something that you're interested in? Or 12%, right? And get them intrigued. So, but lots of people don't understand what private lending is, or that it's even an option for them. So if I was the lender and I was talking to someone, I'd say, well, hey, just like a bank would want, or just like your hard money lending company requires, we do a promissory note. I'd want a promissory note. I'd want a mortgage. I'd want a personal guarantee. I want to be listed on the insurance, right? And you'll start to see the light bulbs come off. But these are the conversations that we're practicing, right? Which is super cool.
Your real estate business lives and dies by the network and the connections that you make. I mean, after all, your network, well, it's your net worth. That's what you always heard, right? If that's an area where you desire improvement, well, Private Money Club, it's for you. PMC saves you precious time and money by bringing the real estate world, well, right to you, right in the palm of your hand. So get in on the action like so many others have by going to privatemoneyclub.com and sign up.
All right, I love it. Blake says, I have a lot of experience rehabbing houses as a general contractor, but not being on the investor side. Cool, I love that, man. I would take that, Blake, and I would leverage that credibility. So I'm just curious, Blake, while you're active on the keyboard, how many years have you been rehabbing houses for other people as a general contractor? How many years have you been doing that? What's your experience? Been doing it for about 10 years. Okay, great. And in those 10 years, Blake, how many clients do you think you've had? If you could just guess, right? I'm not putting you on the spot, but just guess. Like, hey, how many clients do you think you've had, Blake? And I'm really hoping, okay, 60. This is great. So here's what's cool. Blake can say, hey, look, and this is what I teach people in the accelerator class, because I'm a true believer that no matter what your background is in, the credibility that you have from your past career and experiences transitions right over into real estate. Real estate's nothing more than managing people, teams. It's the same stuff. It doesn't matter what your profession is. The same skill sets apply, right? So if I was Blake, I would say, hey, look, my name is Blake. I'm a premier member at Private Money Club. Over the last 10 years, I've helped investors in over 60 different houses. And now I'm looking to build my own portfolio. Done. Who didn't want to or have a conversation with someone like that, right? So it's just a matter of knowing what to say, how to say it, and that's one of the things that we help people with through the accelerator program, which is super cool. All right, cool. Moving on. I see a question just popped up. I'll come back to it, and in the meantime, Matt, can you type it in the Q&A section? Just copy and paste it, so I don't miss it. I will come back to it if either way. All right. Show me the money. So then next part comes up with, gets into the money part, right? So once you tell people, hey, look, this is just like a bank. Wow, just like a bank, like, the same. Oh, okay, like, well, now you got my attention. Like, what are we talking about here? So whatever this looks like for you, the investor, or you, the lender, figure it out now. Figure it out now. So if you're a borrower, what are you comfortable borrowing at? What types of interest rates are you comfortable paying your lenders? What makes sense in your market for you? Right? So for me, I'm just gonna use my example for you guys. I would say, hey, we pay anywhere from 8 to 12% annualized interest. Each loan opportunity is unique, right? So I'm not anchoring myself and cementing myself in a certain interest rate. I've got a range, right? No, what's cool is there's this like optimism bias that most people have when they see 8 to 12, they're like, ooh, 12%, right? No one's gonna be like, ooh, I want one of them eights. Give me one of them eights, Noah, right? It doesn't work like that. They're gonna think 12 right out of the gate, and that's okay, right? But what we do here is each loan opportunity is unique. For me in my business, if there's a deal that's a home run and it's someone I've been working with a lot, I'm gonna give them a higher interest rate because I want to reward them for trusting me, right? If it's something that's a little slimmer, I'm gonna be very transparent. Hey, look, here's the deal. This one's 10%. It's kind of an average for us. It's not too slim. It's not a big chunky one. So we're gonna go right in the middle. Is that okay with you? And people love it, right? As a lender, we got to figure out what that looks like, right? What does that look like for you? So as a lender, how much are you going to lend at? Hey, you can borrow. Some people got it figured out, and I think this helps with the credibility piece. There's been times where I've talked to people who I have one lender, and I don't use her all the time, but I use her sometimes because she's expensive. She's 14%, but she doesn't sway from it. So if you're talking to her and you're like, hey, tell me a little bit about like what you look for in a borrower, what type of interest you charge. And she's like, this is what I look for, and I charge 14%. Done. And it's like, oh, okay. Like, let me just make sure if I have the deal that makes sense, I can give you a call. And I think in the last 5 years, we've used her twice, right? So she knew what she wanted. And when you know what you want and you have a business model, your really helps with the credibility piece when you start having these conversations, okay? So start figuring out what that's going to look like for you. Okay. Question. We're hitting a question real quick. I asked the title company managing a deal I'm funding to confirm that they would provide a lender's title policy. They're saying the contract is listed as a cash sale, so they don't typically do apply a title policy on them. They then said, if I need a title policy, if I need to send them a title request. Ever run into this? That's a great question, Matt. And here's what happened. Okay. This is a great question. So when I say on this next slide here, I've got some things that we're going to require or do, right? Like when you're having conversations, you say, hey, look, these are the things that we provide, right? You can always go, right? This isn't the end all be all as far as documents, okay? So Matt here is saying, hey, I wanted a lender's title policy to help protect him from anything that could be that could come up on the title down the road, right? So smart. But Matt called the title company or the real estate attorney, and they said, well, I'm looking at the contract here, and the contract says cash, so we didn't think there was a lender on this, or right, Matt? So here's for my real estate investors and my lenders. Let me give you some insight here. So Matt's real estate investor was probably like, hey, this is a cash deal to the seller, right? So when Matt's borrower was making offers, they're making them as cash offers because they're trying to be competitive, and they want to make sure that the person buying them understands that to go to a bank to get a loan. So hopefully that makes that person's offer more attractive. See, this is extremely common, right? But it's also a little misleading, because it's not a cash offer, it's a private money loan that person is getting to fund the deal. So if you are a real estate investor, and this is a long answer, Matt, I hope bear with me. If you're a real estate investor, here's what I do, right? I can't tell you what to do, but here's what I do when I'm making offers and I plan on using private money to fund the deals. So I'm very transparent with people, and I say, hey, lots of times I use private lenders and or a combination of my own cash, which is a fact. So on the contract where it says, how are you funding this, like conventional financing, FHA financing, cash, or other, I would select the other box and I would write cash and or private mortgage. cash or private mortgage. So now the real estate attorney or the title company that's receiving it is looking at it and they're like, all right, well, I wonder what this is going to look like. So now it's been flagged as, hey, there is going to be a lender or potentially will be a lender on this deal, but it's also not. And the sellers, I've never had a seller that says, well, I don't know about this cash and or private mortgage thing. I've never had a real estate agent that was like, what's this cash and or private mortgage thing, right? The fact is we're not going to Wells Fargo to get the loan to buy this crappy house. We are using a private lender, private mortgage, and or a combination of cash to do so, right? So that's one thing for like real estate investors. How do you write your contracts if you plan on using a mortgage, a private money lender to fund the deal? That's what I do, right? I'm very transparent with that, right? Does that make sense? So, and then Matt, what should have happened is the borrower, and this again, this is what I teach people in this class. I teach the communication process. So, and kind of like what I do and how to open that up and provide the context. So, as a borrower, I once I have the lender lined up and we agree upon the terms, I would type up an email that says, hey, this is the loan amount, this is what we're doing, here's the terms, here's all their contact information, here's how they're going to get paid, here's all the information about the loan, right? And I would CC the attorney, CC the lender, and let everyone know and get in contact with each other to start that paperwork process. So there probably just wasn't as good of communication there that with the title company of what was happening, right? And so they were just confused, right? And I'm sure it looks like you talked to them, you got it all worked out, no big deal. But to avoid all of that miscommunication on the contract, I write cash and or private mortgage, and then I got my lender. I'm going to send another email with my lender's info, all the terms, and anything special that the lender wants or needs, and it's going to be CC'd on the same email with all parties, so everyone's like, all right, perfect, right? So yeah, the borrower should be paying for that, absolutely. So I would say, hey, yeah, and that's what I do. I pay if my lenders want a lender's title policy, I would pay for that. So I would just work it out with the borrower, be like, hey, this is really important to me. Can you take care of this? It won't cost that much, and it'll be worth them doing it to build that relationship with you so that they can do more deals with you over and over again. All right, great question. Okay, cool. Any other questions in the chat? I'm a lender without my own private funds, but partnered with a firm who can get 0% business funds for deals. Would this be a good fit for PMC? I don't know. I don't know about that. That sounds like someone that, no, the deal is with that. But I don't understand necessarily what it means to partner with a firm. Like, did you hire them to help you get 0% lines of credit for a fee, something like this? I'm not sure exactly what that entails or looks like. Getting cheap money is great, but I mean, you got to know what to do with it, because I'm sure 0% jumps up to 20% in 12 months, and if you don't have it figured out where your money's making you money, you pay it back, that can be a very slippery slope, right? So just got to make sure that you know what you're doing there and do your due diligence. All right, cool. All right, so every single time we borrow money, we provide a promissory note, a mortgage or deed of trust, a personal guarantee, and we list our lenders on the insurance. Every single time you lend money, promissory note, mortgage, deed of trust, want to see a personal guarantee in there, and then also we want to make sure that our name's listed on the insurance, just like a bank, right? So show me the money. So all of these documents, anytime I talk to someone and they're like, man, I'm not really sure what's going on with my private money loan. Like, it's been this long and I haven't gotten anything. And, just things aren't going exactly how I was hoping. It usually means that there wasn't a professional involved. Like, that's usually a telltale sign. So anytime that you guys are wiring funds or doing a loan, make sure that it's going to a real estate attorney and it's not going directly into the borrower's bank account. And not to say that anytime that happens, it goes sideways, but that's just it's just not a great way to do things. Like, what's your company policy? My company policy is I always wire funds directly to a real estate attorney. title company, right? And then they're dispersed accordingly. All right. Anytime that you have a mortgage, a promissory note, any type of legal document, you want to make sure the life is the one writing it up. Again, you don't hear too many of these, but anytime something goes sideways, it's usually because a real estate attorney wasn't involved and just overlooking things and making sure you had the right documents and things like that, right? What makes private money lending great? It's a loan secured by real estate. How is it secured? With a mortgage. And if you don't have the mortgage, then what's the point, right? So, and then it has to get recorded. So some counties, like the one I'm in right now, Richland County, they can record online. So it happens very fast, sometimes same day, right? Within 24 hours, the mortgage is recorded. Some of the more rural areas around where I'm at, they got to send it in. It takes a while, right? So just kind of understand what that process is and always make sure that your real estate, because you're going to get this. This is going to help you. I'm trying to help everybody on this call. So if you're at the barbecue grill this summer, or you're on the lake, you're at your kid's sporting event or summer camps or whatever, you're taking through the process, aren't you? You're telling them, hey, yeah, real estate, private money loans secured by real estate, just like a bank would want. Really? What type of interest rate? Anywhere from 8 to 12. Holy cow, that sounds too good to be true. How do I know it's safe? How do I know it's secure? We give you a promissory note, mortgage, list you on the insurance as a lost payee. We provide you with a personal guarantee. Okay. You do, or how does this work? All documents are prepared by a real estate attorney, right? So this is important. This is important, not just for doing things the right way, but also for explaining it to people where they're like, wow, this seems like you got it all figured out, right? All right, cool. I love it. A couple questions in the chat. I don't know if they're for me, but it does say to host and panelists, so I'll hit them up. How long does the typical deal take to get done? Because if I can offer 0% for 18 months, then that might be people. It could, absolutely. I mean, I think, Jason, when you hop in Private Money Club, you'll see lots of different opportunities. So you might see some short transactional type funding, which could be a good fit for someone like that. Whereas, let's say Christine has a deal and she doesn't necessarily want to rehab it herself, but she knows it's a great deal. So she's going to buy it and then turn around and put it on the MLS and sell it. So Christine needs money for 60 days to buy it and then find a new buyer. That could be a great opportunity, right? Lots of different opportunities. If William has a sweet deal down in Georgia, right? Sweet deal down in Georgia. It's a manufactured home deal. He buys it for 20 and he knows that he could probably turn around and flip it and make 80, and he just needs to borrow 20 grand for 30 days, right? That could be a great little transactional type of funding opportunity. Shout out too. So there's different opportunities. Fix and flips have different timelines too. So anytime that I'm setting up a loan for a fix and flip for my personal business, I always give myself 12 months, right? So I might tell someone, so if I was talking to Jason, I'd say, hey, Jason, based on the amount of renovations that need to be done, based on the average days on market for the properties in this neighborhood, am I missing something else? Yeah, average days on market, the amount of renovations that need to be done. Our estimated timeline on this project is 6 months. However, I'm setting up the term of the loan on a 12-month term, right? So at the end of 12 months, no matter what happens, I got to pay you back, right? Either sell the property or now if I sell the property sooner, great, right? You get your principal back plus you're doing it, right? So there could be a lot of different opportunities. A person can really turn money a lot in that 18-month timeline if they pick the right projects, right? So I hope that gave you a little bit of clarity on that, right? Again, so where else can someone put their money to work, have it secured by real estate? Where else can someone borrow all the money that they need to do a real estate deal without having to go to a bank, right? Private money lending, that's where it's at. If you guys aren't in the Private Money Club yet, go create a profile, talk with the team, have them show you a demo. I'm telling you, I think there's going to be so much opportunity here for deals. It's coming around the corner. You guys know this. That's why you're on the call here, right? A couple questions. Hey, Thomas, how do I BYOB going? How do I get my BYOB going? Yeah, you gotta want set up that BYOB, be your own bank. Jose, you got a link for Thomas to help him get set up with his own banking system, right? All right, cool. Today I'm gonna teach you something. We got about 15 minutes left, and one of the things I'm gonna go back to some basics here. And if you've seen this before, you've seen this before. Here's what I'm gonna tell you if you've seen this before. Okay, I'm gonna teach you a quick little back of the napkin analysis that I use to see if a deal is worth looking into more. So if you're a real estate investor, you probably already know this formula, but if not, this is going to be a game changer for you. Quick little back of the napkin analysis of how I know a deal could be a deal. If you are a lender, then this is a must know. Like, you want to this little figure out in less than 30 seconds if this is even worth having the conversation. I'm going to teach you a little bit on this, okay? If you are a seasoned real estate vet, you're going to know this. You're like, no, I know this. This is Real Estate 101. It's in the first real estate book I ever read. Okay, cool. Here's what I want you to do. I'm going to teach you this formula. Here's for my salty real estate seasoned veterans. What I'm going to encourage you to do is go teach it to other people. Go teach it to your real estate agents. So this is one of the ways that my wife and I find deals is we spend a lot of time educating people, like our real estate agents, even friends and family, kind of like what we look for in a deal. So I have maybe 3 or 4 different real estate agents that routinely, regularly bring us leads, bring us opportunities. They say, hey, have you checked out this house, right? Some of them are even making verbal offers, calling to see if seller might and coming anywhere close to this formula. So we teach our real estate agents what to do, and then they go out and do it and they find the deals. So I'm not combing Zillow or realtor.com or I'm not combing the MLS looking for opportunities. I got 4 or 5 people that do that every single day for us, right? And they know what to look for. So I'm gonna teach you this little formula here. As borrowers, we gotta know this. As lenders, this is really, really important so you can see if it's a good deal or not, okay? So here's the deal. Here's a little formula. So after repair value, I like to use real estate fix and flips as the example here, right? Because it's pretty common in private money club to see fix and flip types of opportunities. So when you see after repair value, otherwise known as ARV, that's the acronym for after repair value. When you see that, what that means is, if a house needs work, whether it's minor or major, once work completed, what is the property worth? So like if I'm going in and looking at a property and the property, I'm going to make it beautiful. I'm going to do the granite countertops. I'm going to do new windows, roof, HVAC. I always like to do our fix and flips top notch, right? Replace everything so there's never an issue. People are really proud with what they're purchasing. Let's just say that number is 300,000. And I know that number is 300,000 because in the same neighborhood where I'm buying this house, other houses have sold for 300,000 that were in similar condition to what I'm going to make this house, right? Does that make sense? Right? And I'm going to times that number by 70%. And then once I get that number, I'm then going to subtract my repair costs. So I'm going to figure out, okay, I know if I fix this house up and do everything I need to do, I could probably get 300,000. Multiply that by 70. I'm going to subtract my repair costs. So if I figure, okay, medium type of renovations require, renovation costs, for us, I always tell people pick an area, right? Let me back up a little bit. And if you're on here and you're not really sure, 2 ways we can look at this. If you're a real estate investor or just starting out, here's some of the best advice I can give you. Pick 1 or 2 neighborhoods that you're going to be investing in and learn everything that there is to know about that neighborhood. Know all the houses. Know all the houses that are for sale. Know all the houses that recently sold. Look at all of the pictures. If there's an active listing, go look at it. Walk the property, right? Pull up the tax records on the county website. See who owns all of the houses in that neighborhood. See which houses are owned by LLCs. See which houses are owned by someone who claims they're resident. See which houses are rental properties that are in an individual's name and not in an LLC's name. I want to know I want to know all the tea. Spill the tea, right? I want to know all the information about that neighborhood. I want to know everything about each and every house in that neighborhood, and get great at that. And then as you start focusing and dialing on one neighborhood, guess what? All the repairs are usually the same, similar. So if I'm flipping in the neighborhood, I'm looking out the window right now where I live. We've flipped a lot of houses in the neighborhood where I live. I know that based on the age of the house, the square footage of the house, because I've studied it and we've started to do deals and we've tested and tracked, I know how much it's going to cost to get a property. I know what's behind the walls. I know what needs to be replaced and what doesn't. So you're going to get good at this, right? So as an example, let's just say I know that I'm looking out the window. I can buy a house, fix it up, and do everything to it. It's worth $300,000, right? I'm going to times that by 70%. That's going to give me 210. And then I'm going to subtract my repair costs. And the little example there, let's just say it's 50,000, right? So that would mean 160,000 is my absolute max that I can buy that property for. So when my real estate agent calls me and she says, hey, I've run some numbers, there's a house I think might work. I kind of threw around the number 160 and they were open to it, right? What do you want to do? I'm going to say, okay, cool. Let's come in at 145 and see what happens. Right. But I know I can't go past 160, or otherwise I'm probably not going to make the amount of money that I want to make, right? Which is kind of like what we're looking at here, right, guys? So as lenders, right, here's those numbers here. As lenders, if someone were to present you an opportunity, like let's say Jose has got a nice little property down there, right? And Jose says, hey, you know what? Here's the opportunity. I'm borrowing all the money for the purchase price and the repair costs. So how much is Jose going to borrow? 210. Let's say Jose wants to borrow 210,000, but he says, no, once I make these repairs and relist the property, I feel as though I'm going to get 300,000. I'm going to say, okay, great. I'm going to run these numbers and I'm going to see if it matches up, right? Now, if Jose has this house right here under contract for 190, it's no deal. It's not a deal, right? Because I'm gonna pen it out. I'm gonna draw it out and be like, Jose, you're 30 grand over what I would probably recommend buying this place for based off the numbers that you shared with me, right? So, and the lower lenders, the lower we're buying the properties for, the safer it is, right? The safer it is. Do you typically pitch deals after getting a house under contract, or can I pitch a prospective deal in the sense of it? I can get the property under contract at that certain price. Man, Nathaniel, that is a great question. Here's what I would do. And let me see what's on the next slide here. Okay, cool. So here's what I would do, Nathaniel. Okay, so there's 5 steps to this framework here. I'm gonna kind of touch the first 2 this week, and then maybe next week or the week after that, we'll go through the rest of these. Okay. If I had a deal, I call these deals hot and ready. Like if I got a deal and it's hot and ready, here's my process. Okay. If I have a deal and it's hot and ready, here's my process. I'm going to go on Private Money Club and I'm going to post that deal, right? Because I have it under contract. It needs funding, right? You have an equitable interest in the property, right? I'm going to post that deal, and then I'm going to post it in the forum as well, 2 places for guys, and I'm going to even Nagy or email me to get on a call on Monday where you can share the deal with the community if you're a premier member with PMC, right? And I'm going to share the whole deal, right? If I don't have a deal, by the way, guys, when's the best time to find your next lender? Before you need the money or after you need the money? When's the best time to find your next lender? Right now. Yeah, Derek said yesterday. So what I would do, Nathaniel, is I would hop on the forums and I would say, hey, my name's Nathaniel. Here's my background. Here's my market. Here's my buying criteria. Here's my business model. I would love to talk with people if you're a lender, like I'd love to set up a time to talk for 15 minutes to get to know one another to see if it could be a good relationship, right? So I think there's no right time. Like it's like what people would always ask, hey, do I market for my deals or do I market for my lenders? You should be doing both same because you never know when you're going to need the other. And so what I would tell people is I would say, hey, if you didn't have a deal yet, Nathaniel, I would say, hey, here's who I am. Here's my market. Here's the types of properties that I focus on. Here's the neighborhoods that I focus on. Here's what a typical loan looks like. Okay, and this is important, right? We were talking about this on Accelerator class with Derek and Kevin. Here's what it, give an example of what it's going to be looking like to work with you so that there's no surprises. So if Nathaniel, if you were in Columbia, South Carolina, like here's my numbers. I might say, hey, we buy houses for 200, we put 50 into them, and a person's $250,000 private money loan is then secured by a house that's worth 350, right? So I'm sharing kind of like what it looks like to work with me, and that way you're fishing you're starting to build those relationships, right? I'm simple, I'm easy to work. Yeah, that's it. If you had a deal, great. Now here's the thing though. Make sure that that's the type of deal you present. So you want to make sure if you're having these relationships, like build your database. Okay, all of these people are cool lending at 250,000, and I had good conversations with them, right? So then the last thing that you want to do is then send them a deal that's like, well, this, let's say it was a single family house and it was $250,000, and when you're all done, it would be worth 350. Like that's kind of like what you told them your business model was, right? That's your focus. You don't want to throw them a curveball and then say, oh, well, this one's this one's on the beach and it's a $600,000 house. You're gonna be like, wait a minute, I thought your niche was the 250, right? So that's why I just think have conversations, niche is rich, introduce yourself, and build that list now. And then when the time comes and you have a deal, you can post it in the forum, your list. And then just watch everyone fight over wanting to fund that deal. That's the goal anyways. All right, cool. You're welcome. All right, cool. Jamie said, just to clarify, you must have a deal under contract before you can post the actual deal on the forum, right? I mean, yeah, 100%. I wouldn't be posting looking for funding on houses that you don't own yet, right? So what I would do, Jamie, is I would have my business model. Right, here's the slide. My buying criteria and my business model. What is that for real estate investors? Well, if Jamie's like, hey, I'm in Beaufort, South Carolina, and I'm a wholesaler, right? Jamie finds deals. So, hey, I'm a deal finder down here in Columbia, South Carolina. What I do is I focus in, lower price points. So like $200,000 or less. And I turn around and sell them to investors that want to put in the blood, sweat, and tears on the rehab side, right? So Jamie is essentially wholesaling deals. So she's going to say, I'm a real estate wholesaler. I find houses for $100, $150, $200,000 or less, and I hang on to them for 60 to 90 days while I find someone that's going to come in and buy it from me, and they're going to go and make it beautiful and sell it for $1 million, right? So that's your business model, right, Jamie? That's your business. That's what you're going to do. Your buying criteria is that 70% formula, right? So understanding. So when you start talking to lenders, you're going to say, Mr. and Mrs. Lender, and this is really good for Nathaniel and Jamie and anyone else asking or wondering, well, Noah, what if I have a great conversation with someone and they want to lend right away? That's an amazing problem to have. So one of the things we really dive into in the Accelerator program is teaching how to get people excited about the next steps when you don't have a deal yet. Okay, so that communication is going to be, hey, remember, Mr. and Mrs. Lender, earlier I mentioned I have a very specific buying criteria for my houses. So I don't have a property that I can present to you right now. However, I'm making X number of offers every single week. My real estate agents are out there bringing me deals every single week. So it's just a matter of time. I'm not going to force something just because you have money that you want to lend, right? We have a very specific buying criteria. It could be 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, before we find our next deal that's going to be perfect for you. We do that not just to keep us safe, but to keep you safe, Mr. and Mrs. Lender. And no one is going to have a problem with that because you're putting your lender first by presenting them with deals that meet that very specific buying criteria, right? That's the little formula that we just talked about, right? And then what's your business model? Your business model, neighborhood, the titles that you do, and things of this nature. All right, guys. All right, cool. Hey, click that link if you're on Private Money Club or on this webinar for the very first time. You're like, this sounds great. Like, I need to meet more people with funding. I need to meet more people with deals. Get in the club. Join the Private Money Club. Click on the link if you want to take the accelerator class with me. Jose can give you a demo. He can show you around, give you the tour, right? But you got to take action, right? And have him help you schedule and help you create a blueprint of what it looks like with the Private Money Club, right? Do you recommend this borrowing strategy for buy and hold properties? I do, Reginald. And here's what's cool. I think there's going to be a big shift. I mean, there's always going to be fixing and flipping and things of this nature, right? But I mean, think about the rental market right now. Like, people are going to be renting. I mean, rental property is the name of the game. How do you win at Monopoly? Do you win by fixing up your greenhouses and selling them? No, you win the game of Monopoly by taking greenhouses, adding house, trading them in for a red hotel, right? It's the same thing in life. How do you win at the game of life? You own property. You build your portfolio. So when it comes to private money lending, here's what's cool. I'll do a quick little survey right now. How many of you would love to lend at 9 or 10% on a piece of rental property that's let's say you lend 100 grand and the rental property is worth 200 and I can pay you 10% or 9% interest on your money. Raise your hand if you would do that, or say, oh, that sounds good, I'm interested. Type it in the chat. I'm curious. Well, think about it. If you've been on the webinars with Chris and Steven, you see the stock market's at all-time highs. You always talk about this, know when to fold them, know when to hold them. I mean, wouldn't it make sense to sell high, put your money into something like this, and you can make 9% and have it secured by collateral that's worth much more? The pitch is different, right? So if I wanted to fund property, how I would explain it and how I would present it would be much different than I would present a fix and flip deal, right? So I'm looking for the person that wants the mailbox money. I'm looking for the person that's like, hey, look, instead of you going out and buying a rental property, why don't you just lend me the money, right? And I'll go buy the houses and you can collect a 9% annualized interest check every single month for the next 10 years or whatever you do, right? So it's just how you present it and how you pitch it, right? And finding the right person, because at the end of the day, you're teaching people about this. Some people, this isn't something that a lot of people know about. Like, gosh, I didn't know I could be my own I can lend money and I can get a mortgage like a bank. Like, oh my gosh, right? But in Private Money Club, it's different because it's the Private Money Club, right? So you just got to pitch it a little bit different. And if you're on the call and you're a lender, what's cool is, just like a person diversifies a stock portfolio, you can diversify portfolio. You can diversify by the areas that you're investing. You can diversify by the price points that we're investing in. You can diversify by the terms. If you were a lender, you could do a wholesale deal, which is, the 30 to 60 days. You could have a fix and flip going. You could have a long-term rental. You could have a short-term rental, right? So it's just, you're lending in different sectors, just like you would if you were picking and buying stocks, right? So something to think about, right? I'm going to end with this question here. Jason said, is PMC a good opportunity for wholesalers looking for investors? 1,000%. I would say absolutely yes. So I'm in South Carolina, and the big buzz around here is that wholesaling is illegal, And so as things crack down, as real estate commissions want to end the assigning of contracts and marketing properties that you don't own, this is an absolute necessity. So when I'm wholesaling, Jason, I am buying the house. I would much rather just go and buy the house, and I sweep it up, mow the lawn, I put it on the MLS, and I make twice as much as I would doing a contract assignment. So I would find that if you're a wholesaler, this is a great place to meet people, because I don't think there's enough wholesalers yet in Private Money Club. I think there's a lot of wholesalers that are like, I'm just going to sell the contracts forever and it's going to be fine, and no one's gonna fine me for marketing a house that I don't own. Um, I think as the tides change a little bit, and I don't want to get into like we're 6 minutes over, but I just think that it's much cleaner if you're the one buying it, and there's a lot of people in this group here that would love to make 3, 4, 5% on their money to and and make that in 30 to 60 days, right? Would you guys like that? That sounds a lot better than 9% rental example I just gave, right? So yeah, go find the money. It's in here, man. It's absolutely in here, 100%. All right, cool. Jordan has a deal in the pipeline that should be under contract by tomorrow. I love to find a private investor to fund my earnest money deposit for a liberal return on their money. Give me a call. Okay, cool. Jordan. Yeah, Jordan's in the 803. Okay, cool. Uh, and borrowers that would buy from wholesalers. Yeah, absolutely. There's probably a lot of real estate investors that, I mean, I love working with wholesalers. I love it. I love it, especially if you got that good relationship. They send you the hot and readies. It's been nice. I'll see you next Thursday. And if anyone wants to hop on Money Club Monday, if you are a Premier member, you can message me, email me, or myself, or Stephen Nagy. Let us know. And I'd love to present one of your deals, or even a case study if you just want people to meet you. Right? All right, signing off. All right, take care, everybody. All right, ciao.